There we go. There we go. Okay. Sunday. Back. We took a week off. It's welcome back. Left Coast Love 2020. Season 1, episode 15 for November 15th, 2020. So as I started to say, we took last week off. I figured with everything that was going on politically, weather-wise, business-wise, maybe a little quiet might be good. So, and actually that leads us right into tonight's topics. It's been an interesting 2 weeks. I think everyone is, I know my whole neighborhood has taken a collective sigh of relief. Just that the volume of political discourse in general has wound down and moved into a different area, but it's definitely not the first thing everyone talks about, and it hasn't been since election. Well, I want to say 2 days after election day, maybe that weekend. But even when the count was still going on, it was not a hot topic, at least in my neighborhood or in our town here. But enough about that. I think we know where we're headed, at least in the short term, and let's hope for the best in the long term. So, got a couple different topics we'll get to tonight. Some experiences, some commentary, and forget the cowbell. Let's talk about crowbars for a little bit too. So, hey, tonight I want to start with, I took advantage of the end of the election and went back through Facebook and took off any kind of posts that were snarky or had anything to do with the election, and just went back, I think, almost a year and a half, and just took all of that stuff off my Facebook page and kind of got it back to where it's, pictures of the kids, the dog, food, vacations, music, stuff like that. And I put a posting up, said, hey, swept the porch. And it was funny because some people were like, hey, did you unfriend or, cut, reduce your circle? And I don't know, I'm kind of old to be reducing the circle unless it's really something egregious. But what I could do was not antagonize people or other things. I mean, Facebook, like I said, I wanted to get back to just being able to share stuff and yuck it up with friends and family and so forth. So went through, swept the porch. Also, we kind of got out of the news business for a while, and I know it started to be a problem when if you're on watch it on the YouTube feed. I put up some of the notes here. So my daughter Parker has been coming up with her own conspiracy theories, and again, these aren't anything to do with what's currently going on, but just the idea that she has it all charted and numbered out and just loosely tying things together by the thinnest of threads to end up with apparently Elon Musk is an alligator. I did not know that, but she's got a whole theory and can connect the dots. So that's why I said I think the magic wall at CNN and screaming heads at Fox and every other thing that I look at to try to get an idea of what's going on out there off the TV. And we've gone back to, she's gone back and we've started watching all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Nickelodeon. So I don't know what year they started in, but Ian Ziering from 90210 is one of the voices, and oh my God, the guy that played Rudy, he was also in Stranger Things. Crap, I can't remember what his name is, but he also voices one of the turtles, and actually they get a whole bunch of Lewis Black voices one of the characters. Anyways, we watched those. She loved those shows when she was a kid, and I watched them with her then, and now it gives us something to do together that's actually really fun. And speaking of stuff to do together, I thought we would talk a little bit about virtual concerts. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a watch party as part of a company meeting for the firm that I work for, and we watched a Beck concert from 2017. I think it was from Hunter Mountain or whatever whatever that festival is they have in New York, the Jam Band Festival. Anyways, the Beck set was just super hot, and we had a nice Zoom party, and everybody had a great time and suggested we do something else. So this past weekend, on Friday night, I did Bob Marley and the Wailers, and coming up in December, and I'll post the information on for the December for the Christmas watch party on Leftcoastlove2020.com. So once we get closer to the date, I'll put up the Zoom information, and we're gonna do Brian Setzer and his full orchestra for one of their Christmas shows. And I got a really great copy from a show from a couple of years ago. I believe it's Denver, but I'll check. And if you're watching on YouTube here, what I'm showing is this weekend, Parker spent some time sharing with me some of the stuff that she does online. So apparently in this game Roblox, which kind of looks like almost a cross between Lego and Minecraft, but you can kind of build your character. You can earn money or currency within the game that you can then use to buy accessories for your house, your car, your clothes. And it's a very popular game. There's actually a number of you can also build your own games and post them and invite people to play. People that build the most popular Roblox games often have sponsors, or there's advertisement in them. And this weekend we went, and Lil Nas apparently is ready to release his Christmas, or his holiday I think it's called, holiday music for this year, and had an exclusive concert for Roblox users. So Parker was super excited today. So we made sure that we were on the good computer out in the living room, the iMac, and with Roblox you have to get onto a server and make sure you've kind of got a place in the game, so that you're not trying to get in once the event starts. So we got in, and then you're in a room where you're just kind of hanging out with some other Roblox people, and they start a countdown. We counted down. She's like, oh my God, I got on and I waited 20 minutes, and then they put the countdown clock on for 5 minutes. So she was so excited. And then when it ended, there was kind of a pause, and nothing happened for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And then the 5-minute clock started again. And it was just funny to watch her. It's just like, oh my God, I have to wait another 5 minutes. But once that 5 minutes was up, there was a message that came on screen and said we were being teleported to the concert site, which was kind of I guess a cross between an old western town and Las Vegas. So it looked like the Old West, but all the buildings had neon outlines and signs and different things. And of course, we started with Old Town Road, and then I think that's the only song I even knew. So after that, it was just the sets would change, and we did a little research, and apparently he recorded all of this stuff using one of those motion capture suits, like the actors from the more recent Planet of the Apes movies, and I think probably made super famous with Golem from Lord of the Rings, which was an actor performing, but yet we got a CGI character on the screen. So the moves and a lot of the gestures and facial expressions came from the motion capture stuff, and they brought it into the game. And it was fun because Parker, she is practicing the remote learning, and there's only a couple of friends in her immediate bubble that can actually either come over here or, yeah, mostly people come here. We don't, Parker doesn't go to other people's houses too much, but when they do an event like this in one of these games, Parker and all of her friends can get together. And it was fun because we had it up on the big iMac, and so I could sit on the couch and watch with her. And they have different dance moves and things you can do. And plus you can kind of explore and go around the set or the concert venue, if you will. And the venue, it seems like it changed for each song. So that was really cool. And then the other thing that I learned from her was, so within Roblox, there's even YouTubers and TikTok folks that play the Roblox games, record themselves. So if you imagine, if you're watching on YouTube here, instead of me talking to the camera, and like you see the slides over here, but instead that would be a live video game, and I'd be telling you what I'm doing, or just talking to myself or other players or whatever. And there's this guy that she follows. His name's Flamingo, I guess. He's got like over 7 million YouTube followers. So the guy actually makes like a crazy amount of money from sponsorships and the commercials and things, because his YouTube channel gets so many hits. They basically pay him money to keep producing content. And she's aware of when all the content comes out. It's usually 2 videos a day. And now, of course, there's merchandise. I think I talked about that a couple episodes ago, but Parker I don't know, I want to say maybe twice a year he comes out with some new sweatshirts and t-shirts and stuff. And she's been doing really well in school, so, I'm not going to deny her a sweatshirt with the logo from a YouTube person that she follows. I don't think that's too much. But he sponsored, he calls it a raid, and he picks a game in Roblox and then posts that he's going to be in that game as one of the characters. And typically when he does that, he's recording one of the videos that ends up on his channel. So if you're someone like my daughter, it's an opportunity. It's like how you get on the channel is to be in one of the games that he's playing, and you can interact, or hopefully will interact with with his characters. So he made the announcement of this particular game, and so we got ready to try to do that. But apparently so many people tried to do it that it actually brought the game down, and they'll have to try again. Apparently they have to put a little more. They weren't expecting 200,000. I can't even imagine that. 200,000 people trying to get on and play a game so that they can interact with with someone else who's also in the game. But it was, this is the new media, and for them, I've seen a lot of his videos. I haven't seen all of them, but aside for me, they get to be a little bit annoying, but I'm not his target audience, so I think it's probably one of the least destructive things she could be doing on the internet in her free time. So it's not all about the internet. We do try to get out. And I have some pictures here of my daughter Parker, and there's another girl on our street, Naomi, who lives directly across the street from us. And she's been having a hard time because, again, she can't go to school with her friends, and she's, we're pretty much quarantined into our little cul-de-sac here that you can see. And one of the things we do to kind of let the kids interact outside, and you can see they have masks on, is we go out and we do giant chalk drawings and stuff on our street. We did it for Althea's 102nd birthday. She also lives on our cul-de-sac. We had our street all decorated for her, and it rained the past 2 days, so all of that stuff had pretty much washed away. So we had a clean slate, all pun intended, a clean slate to start with again. So we went ahead and took some time and let the girls go out there with a box of chalk that we always have in our garage. And I did I did kind of some sketching on to get them started, and from there they took, and I want to say it took about 45 minutes. So now all the neighbors have been commenting how interesting our girls are making the street, and I think it's important that even though the kids can't do everything that they are used to doing, that we do make sure we get outside with them. Obviously, if you see me taking pictures, I was also helping draw some of the hearts, and we also had the dogs from the cul-de-sac out playing. And it's just one of the ways that our kind of micro community is hunkering down while the COVID rages all around us. So good job, girls. Looks an awful lot like the Moon Man from Rick and Morty, hopefully intended. So speaking of the COVID, we're back to full COVID rules where we live. So here's Parker and I exhibiting our double lined mask. So it has the white cotton liner on the inside with the nose clips on the top, so you can get a good seal with your glasses. And it comes all the way down under the chin and back around the ears. So while I think it's kind of sad, but again, we're all just trying to hunker down where we are. I don't want to get into any kind of situations with other people because they don't think this is as serious as some other people do. But now it's getting to the place where I'm knowing people that have COVID or have caught COVID, have gotten COVID, and it in some respects feels like kind of the circle's kind of closing in. So I really try to limit how much we get out of the house. This snap here, my wife was asking where Parker and I were, and we had ran up to the store to get a few things. So we took the selfie of us at the market up the street from our house a little bit earlier today. So I hope everybody out there as well, and you guys are taking care of each other. We're gonna have a very quiet Thanksgiving. Probably just do something out. We'll cook out on the street if the weather's nice enough. We've kind of been getting into the habit of doing that with some of the other neighbors here. All right, so we're gonna wind up here. I'm gonna wrap up with some comic talk for a minute. And DC Comics, Detective Comics, which is where Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman characters are owned and publish their comic books. And over time, when the characters get to be as old as Batman and the Joker, I expect to see things happen over, or you get repeats or similar stories. The same as with movies, you get a sequel and then a number 3 and a number 4. So but sooner or later you're going to get to a point where it's almost a parody, and maybe it's a trope. Is that the right word? But back in the early 80s, there was an issue of Batman where the Joker, where the Joker kills Robin, who at this time is a character named Jason Todd, and he does it with a crowbar. And although you don't see the crowbar hitting the body, and I have a couple of the panels from the comic book up. It's a pretty crazy scene, and it's been repeated. It's been, so now I almost, like, every time there's a Joker story, and I have a couple examples here from the recent Batman series, The Three Jokers, which had a whole piece of the story where, of course, we had to go back and revisit the crowbar. DC Animation has also just released recently Batman Death in the Family. And they marketed the Blu-ray. Now, this one was a little weird because if you go and read the reviews of, like, the digital movie, a lot of people are upset because it's actually made up of clips from a bunch of, from mostly Under the Red Hood, but that and a couple other Batman animated movies and digital shorts and stuff. And what they did for the Blu-ray, though, was they set it up as a kind of create your own adventure. So at different points in the story, you have the opportunity to follow a path or go down a path to see how the story ends. And obviously, to do that, you have to, you'll finish one path and then you'll come back and go back down a different one. So for Parker and I, it actually killed almost 2 hours because a couple of times we had to stop and we were like, no, that just did not happen. And they have, similar to what they did in the comic book, which was there is a point where you could decide whether, after being beaten with the crowbar and blown up, if Jason Todd or if Robin lived or died. And then you could even, if you decided that he was going to live, you could choose whether he lived because he somehow saved himself or minimized the damage of being beaten with a crowbar and blown up, or if Batman saves him. So you had those were two choices. You could say he lives, and then you could pick one of those two choices. Now, one of the dark things we learned is almost every single one of these paths leads to, like, an ending you would not want. So I guess once the die were cast or the crowbar was brought out, there was no happy ending to be had, no matter what the butterfly effect was. But okay, so we've done it in the movies. We had it in the original comics I just shared with you recently in a Batman limited series. But even, I was like, good grief, people. I'm looking at the cover of Red Hood and the Outlaws, which is, this is Jason Todd, or the character. He after the Joker beats him to death, literally, in the comic book, he is resurrected using the Lazarus Pit. Which is what keeps Ra's al Ghul and some other criminals able to come back from the dead, recover from injuries, come back to life, you name it, that's what they're for. But even on the cover of this, he's holding that freaking crowbar. I'm like, okay, DC Comics, I get it. You got a thing with crowbars and Jason Todd, but I mean, enough is enough with the crowbars, people. So that's my comic rant. The other comic news, if you'll indulge me for a couple of minutes, is around, again, DC Comics here. They were purchased by AT&T, which also owns Time Warner, and so now they have all this intellectual property and movies, television, licensing rights for the animated movies and all types of merchandise and action figures and all of that kind of stuff. And the only part of that whole puzzle that, doesn't make a lot of money is the comic book side of the house. And in fact, I'm no expert, but at least from the things that I've read about the industry, DC comic book side of the house, the people that make, the issue of Red Hood and the Outlaws number 50, which is the final issue of this series. So I don't know if it's coming back. There's been a lot of news and speculation. DC's been cutting a lot of titles. They've just laid off a lot of, or fired a lot of their editorial and publishing staff, people that have been making comic books for decades. Editors are gone. Artists are being asked to, and again, I don't have any direct knowledge of this, but these are the types of things that I've been reading, and at least the people that have been reporting these are trying to make the case that it looks like DC wants to get out of the business of printing monthly comic books. So maybe quarterly or something a little beefier. I think last week I posted on Facebook, but I got a really nice comic book. Just, hey, here you go, from the Comic Book Savant and James Harris III, and you should check out his podcast. He also talks comics and pop culture. He's a Star Wars guy. But he sent me some books and this nice epic collection here with reprints of the Russ Manning Star Wars Sunday comic strips. And in addition, I want to say Russ Manning, Russ Manning with Steve Gerber. So Al Williamson as well. So these are actually some, pretty stellar artists. And Russ Manning also drew a lot of Sunday and weekly strips too. Anyways, to get back to what I was saying is, the rumor is DC wants to get into publishing something like this, where they can then sell them in the Amazons and whatever bookstores and Targets and Walmarts, versus selling monthly comic books to independent stores. It's complicated. But there definitely is a shift going on, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, a lot of the DC books are coming to an end right now. I mean, there'll always be a Batman and a Superman book, but it does appear to be that they're kind of trimming the line, and something different's going to be coming. So, speaking of stuff that's different that will be coming, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be looking to do a couple of different things here on Left Coast Love 2020. We're going to try to get some guests to either Skype in, or if I can talk Parker. She's a little camera shy, so we just may do a podcast only version for our Anchor and Spotify folks. I don't know that she wants to be on camera, but I think she might want to walk us through a couple of those conspiracy theories I had up on the screen earlier, and share some of her thoughts as she gets ready to go back to school in person, go to junior high. All right, well, hey, everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of your people, take care of your family. I appreciate your time and attention. And until next week, this is Sean and Left Coast Love 2020. We'll see you next Sunday. Thanks.